Movies. You either love them or you hate you. Movies. Either love them or you hate them. There really is no in between. Okay, maybe there is an in between for some movies, but that is like a very select few. When you watch a movie, you either enjoy it or you don't, and then that's the conclusion that you come to. And sometimes there's movies that you just know aren't good or are just hated by others, but yet you seem to love for other reasons. And today, me and my good friend Esley at Entertainment Fanatic Reviews are gonna give you 3 movies each that we like, despite them being hated or maybe even just not good at all. Like, the masses agree that it's not a great movie, but we enjoy it, or it's just one of those ones where maybe critics and other people hate it, but I don't necessarily, or he doesn't necessarily dislike them. We actually enjoy them quite a bit. So, without further ado, I'm gonna let the guest get started with his first choice.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Esley Greer from Entertainment Fanatic Reviews, and I want to thank Austin over at Austination TV for letting me take part in this collab video. Today we are talking our top 3 bad movies that we love. So let's get into it. So I want to start off by saying if you want to check out my channel, you are more than welcome to. And if you're a fanatic of everything entertainment, I do a lot of movie reviews, ranking videos, list videos, 4K reviews, and a lot of other cool things you might find along the way. So my first choice was a bit of a complicated one because I had my first 2 picked out and I looked through all my movies in my movie collection, and I had like a few choices in mind. But I couldn't really pick one, but I finally did because I thought to myself, what horror movie sequel am I a fan of that a majority of my peers are not? And it came to me instantly, which, like I said, I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. And I totally get your criticisms with this one because there's a lot of things that they do wrong in this movie, but for me, it's nostalgia talking because I grew up with Part 1, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5, and this one. So, you know, it's a really weird jump going from 5 to 8 and not knowing what happened in 6 and 7, but I really like this one. You can say what you want about it not taking place in New York until the last 20 minutes. You can say what you want about the shitty characters, you know, because I've seen a lot of people say that this has the worst characters in the whole franchise, and I do not agree with that. But I mean, if you look at all the other films, there's a lot of bad characters in those movies too. And you could say what you want about them not being consistent with what Jason looked like as a kid, and you could say what you want about the teleportation that Jason uses in the middle of the movie, but with this one, I always enjoyed this one. I don't mind the boat setting, which is something that we never got to see in the previous films, which sort of doesn't make sense because, you know, the first 7 films took place in Crystal Lake, and you would think that we would see some boats, but we don't. I mean, given we do at the end of Part 6 when Tommy Jarvis, you know, tries to bait Jason Voorhees, but that's a small boat. We don't see anyone like on a yacht or anything, and I think we should have in previous films. We never got that, so I don't mind that it takes place on a boat. And you can say what you want about, you know, the lake connecting to the ocean going to New York. Yes, that does not make any bit of sense, but a lot of stuff that takes place in a lot of the other films doesn't make sense either. So, you know, I don't mind the boat setting, and I like the scenes with New York at the end. It's sort of, in my opinion, makes sense as to why they didn't do it at the end because of budget issues, and they couldn't really shoot in New York. I think there's possibly one actual scene in New York, but the other ones took place in Vancouver and possibly like North Carolina, but I'm not entirely sure. You know, I was fooled as a kid that this was actually New York, so like if you don't know the difference, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's besides the point. I love Jason's look. I love the majority of the kills. There is one kill that people talk about, you know, when talking about the positives with this film, but I think there's 3 to me that really stand out. One being the one that everyone talks about, you know, the dude getting his head knocked off by Jason. And 2, my favorite, the one where the uncle finally gets what he deserves and Jason dumps him in a vat of chemicals and it kills him, and it's just very satisfying. And 3, the guitar kill. I'm a guitarist and I thought that was really punk rock and badass. So, you know, I'm a fan of this movie. What can I say?
Alright, so my first choice is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This is the most infamous movie, I think, in the Halloween lore, because the rest of the movies, there's been, I think, 12 movies out so far, soon to be 13 if you count Halloween Ends, which comes out later this year. There's been 12 Halloween movies, and surprisingly, only 11 of them have been about Michael Myers. There's one oddball in the series, and that's this one, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, after Halloween 2 ended, they kind of were gonna stop the whole Michael Myers thing. You know, he's dead, so is the Doctor, Dr. Loomis, and there's really no need to continue the story. However, when Halloween 3 came out, fan reception was definitely... well, it was actually, people hated it, and now it's kind of indifferent, and it's even become a cult classic. I, myself, don't necessarily have a problem with it. I think Michael Myers not being in the movie was never my main concern with it. Sure, obviously, it's cheesy, but that's because it's old, and that's really what it was meant to be. I mean, the Halloween mask that kill kids, like, this is one of the few movies where kids actually die in it, and it's kind of graphic if you think about it in some way. Now, there is that annoying song that gets stuck in your head, but again, that's the whole point. But I just find it laughably enjoyable in a lot of places that just has me excited every Halloween to go back and watch this when this is on TV, because to be honest with you, it's just a guilty pleasure of mine.
These last two choices are movies that are just so bad they're good, and this one may be offensive to some viewers, so I'm not entirely sure if I should bring it up on this channel. But we have The Fanatic, directed by Fred Durst and starring John Travolta and Devon Sawa. You know this is bad when the first line of dialogue in this movie is, "Can't talk right now, gotta poo," which was delivered by John Travolta's character, Moose.
I can't talk too long, I gotta poo.
Which, I don't know why they called him Moose in this, but yeah. And then the tagline is, "All he wanted was an autograph," which I sort of do feel guilty laughing at this movie because, you know, once again, it is so bad it's good. And you would think it'd be offensive to some viewers because John Travolta's character may or may not be on the spectrum. They never clarify it, but it's sort of obvious. But the thing that sort of gets to me, my sister's on the spectrum, and like I've had to take care of her when we were teenagers, when my mom had to go to work. So, you know, there's similarities between her and Moose, but I just think the way that John Travolta plays it is very baseline level, if that makes any bit of sense. Like, he probably watched one or two movies with those type of characters in it, or maybe he watched one or two videos with those type of people in it, but it feels like he didn't, you know, do his research and go beyond the work with this character. Like, I would meet up with some people that are on the spectrum and get to know them and, you know their tics and what's quote-unquote different about them. And this film is pretty much about John Travolta's character Moose, and he wants an autograph. He'll do whatever it takes to get an autograph from Hunter Dunbar, which is his favorite action star and one of his favorite actors of all time. But the shenanigans that John Travolta gets in with this movie is just through the roof, and I laugh at a majority of it. I know I shouldn't be, but I am. This is a film that I've been following ever since it was announced, and at first I'm like, Fred Durst? I thought about Limp Bizkit, of course. Of course you're going to think of Limp Bizkit when you think of Fred Durst, but that was my first worry with this film. I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be so bad. But then, they announced that John Travolta was in it, and, he's known for some really good movies, but he's also known for some really bad movies, so I didn't know what to expect going into it. And then I saw Chris Stuntman's review when it finally came out, and I knew what I was getting myself into. It feels like this generation's The Room.
So my next one is Hook. Now, this isn't necessarily a movie hated by a whole lot of people, but when this movie first came out, the critics weren't really all that great to it. I think it's a great telling of older Peter Pan who's kind of moved on from the whole Neverland thing, started a new life, and, just kind of, I guess, forgot about Neverland in a way. And it's played by Robin Williams. He does a fantastic job there. And it's just about him going back to try to stop Captain Hook from taking over Neverland again. It's kind of like that old story of just two foes reuniting and meeting each other again to have that one last epic battle. Dustin Hoffman plays Hook. He does a great job with that too. I don't know, like I said, I think for one of those movies where it's kind of like, this is what happened afterward, it felt fine. Like, you would definitely expect that at some point in time, Peter Pan would grow up, leave Neverland, start a family, and just, want to forget about all that, because not a lot of it was great moments that he had. Granted, he had people there that he cared about and he loved, but eventually we just all gotta move on. Now, sometimes life comes full circle and you'll end up back there, but it's a really nice telling. One of the more underrated, I think, not just in Robin Williams catalogs, but for Disney in general, to let this movie out there and kind of show us some more, dare I say, adult take on Hook. It's not that it's not for kids, but it's definitely more of a adult story than you would expect from a Disney movie in itself.
And so coming in at number 1, we have 2003's The Room. And yes, I actually got this autograph from Tommy Wiseau himself. So, you know, quick plug for Tommy Wiseau. If you go to his website and you buy the movie and you ask him to autograph it, he'll autograph it and then send you his brand name underwear, a face mask, and just a sales paper with all the stuff that's going on his website. So there's not much to say on this film because I've seen so many channels talk about this movie, and everything they talk about in that film was true because I didn't get to see this until like 3 months ago. And yeah, this film is actually one of my favorite films of all time because of how bad it is. It is so bad it's good. This film is the definition of so bad it's good, and I'm a fan of it. This is a film that I've been following for like 5 or 7 years now because of all the memes. Like, I didn't get to see this until a few months ago, like I said, but all the memes with this one, I am a really big fan of it, and it's just as bad or good as you may think. So I love this movie. I even got my wife to watch it, and she was on the same wavelength as me. She's like, yeah, that's really bad, but it's really good, and we need to watch it again sometime soon. So I'm going to be having a review on this sometime soon on my channel. I don't know when. I was going to do it whenever I bought this, but I thought to myself, why not buy the book by Greg Sestero, The Disaster Artist, and then watch the film, The Disaster Artist, and then watch this, and possibly buy a movie that they're in together called Best Friends or Best Fiends, and they both autograph it as well. But yeah, there's going to be a month, possibly in May, where I talk about all this stuff included. So yeah, The Room, whatever you've heard about it, it's true with this movie, and you need to go out and see it because of how bad it is. But might I suggest going to his website and actually buying it, because if you buy this Blu-ray anywhere else, it's like $30 or $40, but I got the Blu-ray, his underwear, and a face mask, and the sales paper, and his autograph, all for like 20 bucks. And taxes was like 23, so that's one hell of a deal. Even though I haven't wore the underwear yet, so don't know if I will. I still have it like in the package, no pun intended.
My last pick is The Benchwarmers. I had to go comedy and sports here because, you know, I'm a sports guy. I love comedy. And The Benchwarmers, I don't know, is just that weird, like, again, I wouldn't call it one of the best comedy movies of all time, but there's funny things in there that just make me laugh so much. I really, really love it. The fact that John Heater's character is just so terrible at baseball that they had to duct tape the bat to his hand so he can even swing and hit it. It's just absolutely, like, funny to me. Like, it just, I don't know, there's just so many things. I think it's just growing up with uncles who would watch this stuff and would play it around me all the time. It was just like, I guess that's what I grew attached to, were movies like that, comedy movies per se. And yeah, again, I wouldn't call it the best comedy movie in the world or the best movie in the world, obviously. I mean, it's Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider's movies aren't great, but hey, I think that to this day, to me, it's still a cult classic, and one that I can always go back and watch and enjoy with every watch. So yeah, that was it for me. That was it for Esley.
I want to thank you so much, Austin, for letting me take part in this video. This is something that I wanted to do on my channel, but once you brought it up, I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta do this. So can't wait till the next collab, possibly on my channel, because I might have some music related content on there sometime soon, because I've only done like very few album reviews. Haven't really done anything that has to talk about bands or whatsoever, when music is like a big part of my life, but that's besides the point. So yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this collab video, and if you want to check out my channel, you are more than welcome to, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
You guys can tell us in the comments below, for those that watch, what are some movies that are hated that you love? These could be movies, again, that the critics and the fans are indifferent on, or this could just be one that's universally hated, but you yourself don't see a problem with it, or it just could be a bad movie that you actually like, because again, we all have one of those movies where we just know, we absolutely know that we shouldn't be enjoying this because it's so bad, but we just do in some sort of way. It'd be very interesting to see what each and every one of you have to say in the comments with your choices. But until then, go subscribe to Esley's channel, Entertainment Fanatic Reviews. I will link his channel in the description below so you can go do that, especially if you're into movie reviews, and he even does some music related stuff there sometimes as well. So go check out a new channel if you're not subscribed to him already, because trust me, you will enjoy. But until then, stay safe out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and I will catch you all in the next one.
Hot potato! No!
Excellent fight.
Let it go!